I almost forgot to click live on YouTube. Hello and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I guess I got a little excited there. Today, we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency news from muting the other channel in my tab. But today we're going to be talking about miners having their revenues go up 300% despite the difficulty increase on the network. And then we're going to be talking about the Silk Road founder, Ross Ulbricht, being pardoned by President Trump, and a little bit of backstory on that, as well as talking about some other things, including Bitcoin mining economy is expected to be stable, profitable, and all that in 2025, as well as BlocX. We were just giving them props yesterday for moving to proof of work, specifically ASIC resistant proof of work, and now they are shifting again to proof of stake. And then we are going to be talking about some seed phrase scams that are going on specifically with OKX wallet, but there are a lot of other wallets that it can be done on. I'm going to give you guys an update on that. We have two reactions today. We are going to be reacting to why I'm changing everything for mining in 2025 by the Hobbyist miner. And then we are going to be reacting to Helium Network lawsuit from Tactical Investing. I don't know what's going on with me, guys. I feel a little funny today. I started the stream and then I think I chugged an energy drink and it all hit and I got weird. I don't know. Anyways, hopefully the stream is good to go. And then I was trying to read other stuff that was popping up and it was like, my daughter uses this new term, overstimulated, and I think I got overstimulated. Let's go ahead and hop into the first topic today. What is scalping in crypto and how does scalp trading work? This is something that you should be aware of as a cryptocurrency miner, and it is directly related to how profitable your cryptocurrency mining operation will be. Why is that? Well, because when you are mining cryptocurrency, you don't have to sell on the day you mine. And in fact, in a lot of cases, if you sell on the day you mine, especially in the current space, you can end up in a position where you are unprofitable. We want to make sure that we get rid of that problem by being aware of how people scalp cryptocurrency exchanges and using those strategies as well to sell your cryptocurrency that you've mined at the proper time. This is very important because like we saw with the reaction video we did from Modern Mining on Monday, he essentially had said something along the lines of I'm no longer profitable, I'm going to turn it off. But remember, we have 5 to 30% swings, regularly, hourly, right now in the cryptocurrency mining space. And if you look up a profitability chart, on a specific time, that could be shifting at 5-minute increments. So this is very important to understand right now, especially because we are in the place in the market where we're coming into a bull run and you can be profitable, but sometimes it looks like you might not be profitable depending on your power rate. So let's go ahead and take a look and understand what this topic is. So scalping focuses on making money off of slight price swings, and that's what we're talking about today. Crypto scalpers use this method to reap quick gains from reselling assets. Although cryptocurrencies are known for their volatility, they give traders various opportunities to pocket and reinvest the gains. Scalp trading is a crypto strategy that helps scalpers to take risks and make the most of frequent price fluctuations by observing price movements. This article will discuss scalping, how it works in cryptocurrency, the advantages and the disadvantages of scalp trading in crypto, and whether it is complicated and how much money you need to engage in it. So, what is scalp trading? Crypto scalp traders target small profits by placing multiple trades over a short period of time, leading to a considerable yield generated from small gains. Scalpers step in for highly liquid and significant volume assets that result in greater interest owing to the news. Scalping strategies require knowledge of the market, even though it is a short term strategy. To capture the difference between supply and demand, scalpers use spread, which involves buying at the bid price and selling at the asking price. If traders are prepared to accept market prices, this approach permits making a profit even when orders and sales are not changed. So, how does it work? Charting, speed, and consistency are the critical elements that make scalping possible. For instance, scalpers use technical analysis and various value gaps caused by bid-ask spreads and request streams. So you're looking at the charting, the speed, and consistency of this, but the general idea is you buy low and sell high, and if you implement this within cryptocurrency mining specifically, it's important to not just sell all of your crypto on a market price, right? So let's say you've been mining Bitcoin and you need to pay your power bill, and the way you mine is you mine your cryptocurrency. When the power bill is due, you hop in, you market sell your cryptocurrency, and you take whatever the market is willing to give you for it. And the problem there is whenever you click the sell, especially on smaller cap GPU mineable coins, you're just saying, hey, sell to anybody who has anything listed. And so you can have a price impact that's going to bring it down lower, and so on and so forth, especially if you're dealing with scalpers as well. And so some of the strategies that you should take with mining in particular is to not wait until it's time to pay your power bill, but look and pay attention to the market at least briefly, even within the actual little time that you're deciding to sell your cryptocurrency. You can pop in and you can look for basically a little uptick before you go ahead and start selling. The other thing that can help you there too is if you're like a week ahead of time and you're seeing basically the daily highs and the daily lows, you can do this on any cryptocurrency exchange, even something with small coins like ZegX. You can observe what the daily highs and the daily lows are, and you can set a price that you want to sell it for and leave it in that exchange until the next day. Eventually, there is a good high likelihood that the bots that are operating within those exchanges, as long as you're within the range of the 24-hour high and the 24-hour low, that they will start sucking that up from the bot perspective, right? Because their goal is to not have any big chunks anywhere up and above or below them, right? They want to kind of make sure they always have just a little bit better of a trade for you than you, and so on. So that's kind of something you can take a look at as far as paying attention to the markets, right? And it's the same thing, charting, speed, and consistency. Additionally, traders that utilize scalp trading techniques must respond quickly to capitalize on the minutes or even seconds of short-term volatility. In this manner, scalpers can reap benefits over time continuously. But how do crypto scalpers make money? The different scalp trading tools used by crypto scalpers to reap gains include leverage, range trading, and the bid-ask spread, as explained below. So what's leverage? Leverage describes how much traders contribute from their pockets to increase their margin. Some scalpers use this method to increase the size of their position. Range trading, scalp traders who engage in range trading watch for trades to close inside predetermined price ranges. And that's kind of the example I was using with the mining in particular, is paying attention to those predetermined price ranges just based off of 24-hour high and low. And you can get a good idea of what the market will probably pay. And the longer you have it listed, the higher likelihood that you will get that certain amount will be available. Now, I wouldn't just leave it in there, 24/7 in the exchange for days at a time because the ranges are going to shift, and you don't necessarily need to be as efficient and consistent as, say, a scalping trader, but understanding the principles behind it can help you be more profitable with your mining. So an instance of this is some scalpers utilize a stop limit order, which is what I am basically advising that you do, which executes the trade at future market values. And this is really a very important part when we're talking about mining small cap coins as well, because if you're a big old mining whale on a speculative mine or even a smaller cryptocurrency that you have large amounts of that can affect the price whenever you sell it, you have to start becoming a responsible trader and not dumping the market over and over again. Because if you do dump the market too much for whatever particular cryptocurrency that you're mining is, you end up putting yourself in a bad position and that cryptocurrency itself in a bad position, because it'll get the negative press and the negative feeling towards it from other traders and buyers from a big price fluctuation in a downward manner. In fact, if you have the opportunity to sell a little bit, right, and then use that USD to even perform a stop limit order to buy up, if it does go down to 10%, you can even maximize your mining out of that as well. So bid-ask spread is by employing this strategy, scalpers can take advantage of the significant price discrepancy between the highest bid and the lowest ask. And then arbitrage is purchasing and selling the same asset in different marketplaces. Now, arbitrage is important for mining. I think like one of the things that you need to be careful on, for example, if you're mining a lot of these small coins, is which exchange is it selling the most on for. So you can see that a little bit in something like Coin Market Cap, right? Where you end up going to your watch. Let's go to my watch list. Let's just pick Caspa, for example, here. And you can go ahead and see, this doesn't have all of the Caspa listings, right? But you can at least see how much volume it has and the depth and all of that to make sure you're not selling over a certain amount. And you can see where the prices are the highest. Now, in an arbitrage trade, what they would do, for example, which it won't work on Caspa in this scenario necessarily, because you need to account for fees, etc., which is another big part of basically making sure your mining farm is profitable, paying attention to fees. But you can see here, as an example, you would buy it for 1304 here, and then you would sell it for 1307 here. Now, that's not going to work with the fees coming out and everything else in this particular scenario, but that's the basic idea for the arbitrage. Checking these prices for your smaller cryptocurrencies that you're mining with GPUs before just hammering, sell on A, B, or C exchange is an important thing to do. So keep that in mind. Now, there are two types of cryptocurrency arbitrage trading strategies. One is spatial arbitrage. A trader using spatial arbitrage can initiate long and short positions at various exchanges simultaneously. Traders protect themselves against changes in numerous trends this way. That's an interesting strategy that actually I'm learning about there. I haven't executed any of those in particular. I was doing a little bit, I guess, more simple, I suppose. This is a good one though. Pairing arbitrage, and this strategy is only appropriate for one platform. So say you're, specifically in ZegX, for example, and let's say you go to ZegX, right? Let me get it up if I can. And if we go to ZegX, right, and then we type in, I think Caspa has one, right? Caspa has a USDT. Do they have a BTC? I thought they did. Maybe I need to just type this all the way out and it'll find it easier. So you can arbitrage between the trading price with USDT and with Bitcoin. And it is important, especially on these smaller cryptocurrencies, if they do have a pairing that is both going to be USDT and Bitcoin. At the very least, make sure the Bitcoin price isn't actually higher than the USDT price, because that may be something you want to consider, especially this day and age when you can just send Bitcoin to a crypto.com or Coinbase account and load it up onto a card to pay your power bill. It's not that bad of a strategy to just be having Bitcoin if you are getting a better trade pair out of it, especially on the day that you're actually going to convert to pay for your power. So that's another thing that you can do to help make sure that your mining farm stays profitable. So how to set up a crypto scalping trading strategy. To set up a crypto scalp trading strategy, follow the simple steps below. Now, I do not condone this. I always say mine it, don't buy it. And we are learning from this to figure out how to make sure we are keeping our profits from everything we mine. So keep that in mind. But to set up a crypto scalp trading strategy, follow the simple steps below. Choose the trading pairs. Considering the volatility and liquidity of crypto assets, choose a trading pair that suits your risk-return investment profile. Select a trading platform. While selecting a trading platform that offers your chosen trading pair, consider various aspects like trading fees we talked about, interface, customer service, etc. Choose scalper bots. Now, obviously, we're not going to be talking about utilizing bots, but these three are definitely really important when we are talking about liquidating our mining profits. Trading fees, interface, customer service. I mean, we have seen, for example, if they don't have a good track record, like Trade Ogre with Caspa, if you can trade it on another platform, it may be something that you want to consider. And then try various trading strategies. Before scalping, ensure you understand your strategy well by trying different trading techniques as mentioned in the section above. I like how Gandalf said, I only buy high and sell low. Seems to make consistent negative gains. And that is just going back to, keeping your head about you and planning out when you have to pay for your power bill and selling those 24-hour highs throughout the month while you are running up to paying your power bill. Because you don't want to be in the position where, and I always make the joke, I just paid the power and then crypto skyrockets, right? But to be fair, I'm usually trying to plan that out in reality, 30 days ahead. I'm already trying to get my power sold and taken care of, 30 days ahead of time, staying a month ahead of it. So when those pumps happen the day after my power bill was due, I can capitalize on it, right? And that's really important. So all trading strategies have pros and cons, and scalping is no exception. For instance, the risk in scalping is low due to the smaller position sizes involved. Moreover, crypto scalpers do not try to take advantage of significant price moves. Instead, they struggle to take advantage of small moves that occur frequently. However, because the rewards from each trade are so little, scalpers search for additional liquid marketplaces to increase the frequency of their trades. Now, I will say, I have seen this a ton with people in particular on, like, maybe they're new, they're on Twitch, maybe they have just like 2 or 3 viewers and they're on an exchange and they're trading for the first time and they see a little profit and they're trying to execute a scalp, right? I was watching some people do this, and the newer people would end up not taking into account the fees. It would say that they're in profit, right? And then they click the sell, but because of the fees, they actually end up losing money. I've actually done this too in the past, especially switching exchange platforms and being used to the fees on one over another. And then, selling and realizing that the fees were like a ton more. And this happens a lot with newer projects, and it's something to pay attention to. I mean, even to the point to where if you can peer-to-peer sell someone something you know, in one of the, with the liquidity bots and all that, or the peer-to-peer bots. What was the name of that one that Caspa used for a while? Anyways, there's bots within Discord that will help facilitate peer-to-peer transactions. And just if you can unload it on somebody at a lower price than it is on the exchange, in some cases, if it's a very new cryptocurrency, that can still be more profitable than moving it to an exchange and then hitting the exchange fees on it. Of course, always be careful with over-the-counter type trades with people. Make sure you are utilizing some sort of verification bot that is going to facilitate that trade, that will verify that each person has, you know, sent what they said they were going to send, and then it'll execute. That's always important. I love, by the way, the new glyph option for peer-to-peer trading. It's something unlike I've ever seen before. Let me see if I can show you guys. I don't think I can, because I don't think I'm actually logged in. I wonder if I can, hold on one second. All right, that's fine. I wanted to make sure this wasn't an actual wallet here. Okay. So if you go now to swap, what you can do, it's not going to let me do it fully, but you can do one, and then you can go into, you can get the ticker. So we'll do GOAT. I wonder if it'll find it. No, error. Watch me try to show off something cool, and then it won't work for me today. I wonder if it won't because I don't have anything in this wallet. Anyways, what ends up happening is that if somebody posts, you can prepare the transaction, right? You can select the token down here. And then once you prepare the transaction, it essentially gives you a contract. And this is all on blockchain, right? You can post that to your buddy or to whoever you're wanting to swap with. And then they can come here, load that transaction into here, and then it'll go for you. So I think actually we can go to Radiant, or yeah, let's go to Radiant. I think we can use one as an example. Token listings. No, that's, we need swaps, right? So FT swap listings. See, they post these here. You basically copy this code out, paste that transaction into here. And if it's a valid one that hasn't been sold yet, which that one probably has been, I guess, it will pop up the trade for you. And then you can trade for whatever token that is. So you see here, we said, hey, use this contract. This is trading basically 2 million glyph. Is that right? 1,000 million. Yep. For 1,000 Radiant. And that's all done, you know, on chain without the interaction of third parties at all. And it's allowing you to actually trade tokens within the platform. Now, there have been other solutions for this in the past, but this has been one of the most seamless ones I've ever seen. So I kind of want to show it off because I thought it was really cool. Tangent out of the way, let's go ahead and continue. And welcome to the stream, 10 minutes to midnight. In contrast to long-term holding, day trading encourages the trader to concentrate on minute price changes. So how is day trading different from scalp trading? A scalping trader holds a financial asset for less than 5 minutes and can typically maintain a deal for 2 minutes. On the other hand, day traders hold trades for several hours. Moreover, crypto scalpers open 10-second or 100-second or tens or hundreds of trades, there we go, daily to reap significant gains. In contrast, day traders are limited to a small number of daily trades. In addition, day traders occasionally rely on fundamental analysis, whereas scalping requires knowledge of technical analysis. Scalp trading is also different from swing trading, as scalpers hold trades for a few seconds to minutes, whereas swing traders typically maintain their position for a few days to weeks or even months. Additionally, swing trading involves reasonable monitoring and current knowledge of news and business events, whereas scalping necessitates constant monitoring through the trading session itself. Now, why is this important too, though? If we're talking about smaller coins, and I'm going to show you guys something here. There's a strategy that you will see on, in particular, Solana tokens where they're trying to scam people. And what they do is they essentially will build up little by little with their own wallets, and we'll see if we can find one that does it. That didn't do it. They'll build it up a little by little, and then essentially once they get one person to buy it, they'll dump the whole thing. Now it looks like a ladder is what it ends up looking like. And let me see if I can find, I think I took a screen cap of one the other day so I can show you guys, but that away. I thought I loaded in here. Oh, here we go. Boom. Okay. So here is what happens is to, and this, there's a reason behind this. I'm explaining this too, by the way, specifically for when you're trading, but also to warn you guys, if you see basically a pattern like this on a new token, it means they're getting ready to dump it. So you'll see they'll buy a little, buy a little, buy a little, buy a little. I'm pretty sure it's all botted too, right? Buy a little, 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 buy a little. And then it, depending on, they're paying attention to if they're going to make money on it all. As soon as they're in the green and they can dump the whole coin, they dump the whole coin. Usually after, it's usually only one person that falls for it and does a quick buy for like 1/10 of a Solana, and then they dump it. Now, why is this important? Let's talk about this. If you are going into an exchange, a small exchange, to sell your mined cryptocurrency, right, onto that exchange, you want to be aware of what the perception of traders are in general and what they're going to do as far as buying and selling and all of that. And there really is a mental game of essentially this little bump up thing, and this is how they're tricking people, right? I'm telling you the trick now so you don't fall for it, but other people, you know, will see this, and you don't want to make the big red happen, right? People will continue to buy, continue to buy, continue to buy. You should figure out what the volume of that trade is compared to how much your mining bag is. And as soon as it ticks up a little, just sell a little. It'll come back down. It'll stay pretty flat. Let it tick up again and then sell a little. And you can do that like over and over again if you really want to min max. And obviously I'm saying on a, you know, a non-scam coin that you actually have mined, that sort of thing. But making sure that you're kind of playing those games with people so you aren't just coming in here creating a terrible chart for people to look at, then they don't want to invest in that project, right? And this is just also being a responsible miner. So is crypto scalp trading worth it? It says developing your ability to interpret charts and expanding your understanding of various crypto trading tactics are the keys to becoming a good crypto scalper. In general, crypto or scalp trading can be aggressive and demanding and may be highly draining for untrained brains because the return from each trade is so small. More substantial capital is required to produce meaningful outcomes. And of course, as there is no one-size-fits-all crypto trading strategy, one should utilize the techniques that best fit their risk-return portfolio. A lack of confidence in one's ability while dealing with risky assets may prove unproductive in the long run. The most crucial lesson for scalpers to learn is likely risk management, which is what we're also talking about with paying your power bill. Once again, we are in that area with cryptocurrency mining right now, especially on the GPU side, where within an hour you could be profitable or unprofitable for the day. So what are we talking about with risk management for cryptocurrency mining? Well, it's making sure that on the days you're profitable, you sell it at the price that it's profitable on. On the days that you're not profitable, hold it till the next day for the day that you're profitable on it and sell it. Of course, the more miners that are executing this strategy on the smaller the coin they're executing this strategy on in particular can mean that it's a very, very difficult and tricky thing to do. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I wanted to give you the ideas of scalp trading so I could cover and expand out into how it's affecting mining, your profitability, and so on. I think right now, if you're shutting off on the red days and not mining at all, you're basically doing yourself a disservice. Those are the days that you're probably going to actually make the amount of crypto that you need to sell on a green day and make your mining strategy successful, right? And so risk management is keeping enough USDT to cover that next power bill so that you aren't forced into selling at too low of a price. And I felt like it was a really good thing to talk about. So I shouldn't market, order, sell my 1 billion of Caspa? Got it. Yeah, Josh, I wouldn't do that. You only got 1 billion, bro? I got 3 billion, dude. 10 billion. Peanuts. Peanuts. That's peanuts for this guy. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get into the Silk Road, right? With 3090s, every day is a red day. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. Except if your 3090's dying on you and the memory modules on the rear are screwed, then might be true. Might be true in that particular case. So, all right, you got me. I'll give it to you. So if you guys aren't aware, Ross Ulbricht was pardoned by President Trump, and this is bullish, my friends. So Silk Road founder in 2015 had been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Trump made the announcement via a Truth Social post and later via, obviously, Twitter and all of that. President Trump has followed through on one of his key campaign promises, at least for those in the cryptocurrency community, pardoning the sentence of Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht. Now, we'll go over, a little bit more here. I'm sure we'll go there'll be more here. One of the things is that's evident is that this was the winning ticket to get the Libertarian Party vote, right? And that's because I think a lot of libertarians are pretty big fans of Ross in particular. And if you heard when Trump announced that at the get together, the Become Ungovernable, if I can even say that word, get together, he basically got a roaring standing ovation. And so I think this had a lot to do. I mean, there was so many factors and so many good moves, but I think it had a lot to do with winning this particular election. So Trump said, quote, "I just called the mother of Ross, William Ulbricht, to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement," there you go, "which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional pardon of her son, Ross," Trump wrote on a Truth Social post. The move assures an imminent release for Ulbricht, who in 2015 was convicted of engaging in continuing criminal enterprise and distributing narcotics, along with a host of related crimes via his operation of the darknet Silk Road Marketplace. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and his case has become a cause Celebre? I don't actually know what that word means. Can I click it? For many in the crypto community, I just think it's probably like, I suppose, a cause to celebrate in the crypto community. Who know he did not himself sell drugs or other illegal items, but instead operated a platform where others were allowed to transact. Then candidate Trump promised a day one commutation of Ulbricht's sentence last May while addressing the Libertarian Party convention. The price of Bitcoin rose in the minutes following the news, possibly as the pardon, along with a flurry of executive orders over the past hours, signals the president's intention to follow through on campaign promises. Another one of those promises was a far friendlier crypto regulatory stance, including the possibility of the creation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which and this is what I was saying yesterday, what I've noticed is it seemed that in Trump's first term, there were two problems in particular. One, he didn't seem to be able to execute all of the campaign promises, which I think that's, we could say that's with every single candidate in the history of the United States, right? That's not anything special, but also, he wasn't friendly to crypto. And what's crazy is at least the actions of the past few days have proven that he's flip-flopped on both of those things, where it seems like he's going to act on almost as many of his campaign promises as possible, and he's positive towards crypto. I am very bullish on this administration's approach to cryptocurrency, and I am super excited to see how freaking crazy this bull run ends up with support from the US government. I mean, it's getting so nuts that, like, there are now, if we go to CoinGecko, there are now, there's a spot for made in the USA cryptocurrency because it's going to be considered good to be a US based crypto. And that is something I never thought would happen, right? So yeah, I never thought that would happen. Like, it actually may be like a positive to be a cryptocurrency that is based in the United States, which would be just cool. So we'll give you a little background on Dread Pirate Roberts, which is Ross's pseudonym that he used on the internet. And basically, he was sentenced in federal court to life in prison in connection with his operation and ownership of Silk Road, which is a hidden website designed to enable its users to buy and sell illegal drugs and other unlawful goods and services anonymously and beyond the reach of law enforcement between January 2011 and October 2013. The sentence was announced by Preet Bharara, U.S. Attorney of or for the Southern District of New York. Ulbricht was found guilty February 5th of each of the 7 charges he faced following a 4-week jury trial. Make no mistake, Ulbricht was a drug dealer and criminal profiteer who exploited people's addictions and contributed to the deaths of at least 6 people, he said Bharara. Ulbricht went from hiding his cybercrime identity to becoming the face of cybercrime, and as today's sentence proves, no one is above the law. It's really funny to read this in hindsight. So do you guys think Ross is above the law, or do you think that he was wrongfully sentenced? I think there can be a sliding range of this too, right? You could say, well, the life sentence was too harsh. There was a lot that went on with this in particular. Silk Road basically was one of the reasons Bitcoin took off, though, too. So we do have to credit it for that and credit crime to a certain extent. What's really funny about that is in the history of technology, What you do find is the really big innovations hit crime and pornography first, and then they blow up into the public domain. And that's what we're seeing happen again with cryptocurrency. History kind of rhymes, as I've said before, right? So that was the reason he was sentenced. There was some, speculation surrounding being framed for trying to hire people to basically unalive other individuals. And I don't think that went anywhere or got looked into deeper at all. I don't know if we'll hear his point of view on that later on in the future. I do lean libertarian, so I think that people should be allowed to do whatever they want to do unless it affects the rights or safe or health of another individual, right? So I am kind of one of those guys that would be like, basically make drugs legal, you know, at the end of the day, but don't make murder legal, right? That's the line I would draw. Now, would I actually utilize, drugs personally? No, unless there was like some benefit to some other. I know there's like the psychedelic benefits. I don't know much about that, right? I haven't participated in it, so I don't know to what validity, Rogan has or, any of those guys have on how helpful that is for different things. I know there's the talk of ibogaine for PTSD, etc. I wouldn't jump into all that, but at the same time, you should be able to test all of those things so right? And I think we have stifled innovation within the medical space by banning a lot of things, and we stifled other industries that obviously hemp, for example, grows very well in the United States, and that could be a massive export that we're just throwing money away because of this war on drugs, which seems a little ridiculous to me. I know that's changing, of course, and all of this is a changing atmosphere, especially with with Biden out of office and Trump in office now. It'll be really interesting to see where all this is headed. But that's my opinion. Now, that website had more than that available on it as far as like hitmen and so on. So what parts of those should be regulated or not, I think could be discussed. The other question, though, is should you be responsible for providing a service? We went over this with essentially all of the social media sites and so on, where they basically are able to absolve themselves of anything posted on their website while also being able to regulate it. Hopefully that gets overturned as well. But it's not like if somebody posts something on your website that is against the law, at what point are you obligated to take it down before being an accomplice to whatever crime that was, right? I think at the end of the day, they have had a bunch of talks surrounding that, but I don't think you can hold Silk Road completely liable for all of the drug trading that went on, because that doesn't make sense, because it wasn't the individual himself doing it, right? It was a service. But it is pretty crazy. Josh said, years ago, I did a lot of research on hemp, tons of research all day. So you know a lot about it, huh? Let's see. You've had buddies go to jail for much less, says Tonto. Alice says, I've seen Biden's walk for much, much more. Well, and that is kind of the funny part to this quote on this particular sentencing, right, that we read earlier, where he said, where was it? No one is above the law. Yeah, I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that to be the case ever. I don't think I've ever believed it, but that statement is a joke, right? Because we know the reality of things in the United States are that if you are powerful enough and influential enough, you are to a certain degree above the law. And if you're rich enough, you are above certain laws, right? Like, let's say you make millions of dollars a year and you get a speeding ticket. Who cares? It doesn't affect you. But if you're working at Dollar General as a cashier and you get a speeding ticket, that can bankrupt you and you won't be able to pay rent for the month. So there's tons of people above laws and it's a sliding scale. And the whole discussion is ridiculous to even say that. It makes me think that he's not a smart individual and shouldn't be a judge. That's my opinion. And then here's the picture of him coming out of prison. So if you guys are curious, he's up there. He does have a Twitter as well, which you can go follow if you're interested. I think I did link it in the description, so go check it out. Some people are having a bunch of conspiracy theories around the plant, but I believe the plant is a pretty traditional gift coming out of prison, if I recall correctly, for like representing new life and all that. A new start, right? So I don't think that there's anything crazy behind the plant, but if you have a good conspiracy, I'll definitely hear you out on it. Tactics, you want me to start over? No, I can't start over. I'm sorry. I was stumbling hard at the beginning, though. I don't know what happened. I got all excited. I was doing like jumping jacks and stuff, and then I sat down. I was like, my neural link disconnected for a second, and I couldn't function. You know, sometimes when that neural link disconnects, I have to. Was it like the? What was Musk at the inauguration? Bitcoin miners see 3x profit margins despite higher network difficulty. Glassnode's difficulty regression model estimates the cost to mine a single Bitcoin at approximately $33,900. Now, I think it's higher than that for us plebs, obviously. And depending on the efficiency of your particular unit as well. So, you know, and the Bitcoin difficulty going up only makes sense. Why? Why does that make sense? Well, people like me are turning on all their ASICs that they've been stacking that are now, you know, able to swing daily trade highs to stay profitable, right? It's still extremely difficult, and sometimes I screw it up and I'm super scared of it, but it is what it is. I think the cost to mint is a lot higher on average, but I think, you know, you have large companies with the most efficient miners with very cheap power, so there's that. Well, that's a good question. Is cost to mint just power? Even if it's just power, I would think that's rough, but yeah, that's a good point. I don't know this regression model if it includes cost of miners. I don't know that you could actually include cost of miners because cost of miners are based off the price of Bitcoin. So that's kind of that's a sliding scale, right? So it says this profitability margin is still suppressed by growing competition among miners, with hash rate steadily climbing amid this bull run. According to Glassnode data, revenue per exahash stands at $60,800. Miners' cash flow per mined block was reduced in April when Bitcoin halving slashed revenue from 6.25 to 3.12. Isn't it crazy that it is, if you guys watch my crypto mining course that is no longer up because we have to make a new one now for the bull run. But if you watch that, we talked about it happening in April, and then we said the bull run would begin about 6 months after, and then the peak would be 18 months after. Right now, when did it in particular start this time? I have to go look it up again. but it was pretty close, right, to hitting that 100,000 right at 6 months. It was a little later. So I'm still on pace with the strategy of essentially 200,000 roughly Bitcoin and what do you call it? Peak miner prices and all that within, or basically 18 months out, maybe 20 months out. It'll be interesting to see exact dates and all of that. But, you know, a lot of people were trying to say that we weren't looking at the same pattern, but I'm still seeing a similar pattern here. It's a crazy, crazy pattern. So it says mining is key to security and functioning of the Bitcoin network, and miner resilience has proved beneficial. Not just Bitcoin, but to energy grids overall. As Cointelegraph reported, Bitcoin miners saved Texas $18 billion by eliminating the need for new gas peaker plants and acting as a grid stabilizer. With declining revenue and increasing competition, miners moved to diversify their activities in 2024 into high-performance computing and artificial intelligence businesses. Hive Digital, for instance, repurposed part of its NVIDIA machines for AI applications over the past year, generating over $2 per hour in revenue compared to 12 cents per hour from crypto mining. Bitcoin miners are also stacking up their Bitcoin reserves, following the playbook of companies like MicroStrategy. Quote, in 2024, a notable shift emerged among Bitcoin miners, with many opting to retain a larger portion of their mined Bitcoin or refraining from selling altogether, according to a report from Digital Mining Solutions and Bitcoin Mining Stock.io. You know what the macro would have been, really, though, to be honest? Because the reason these miners were selling is because they were forced to sell to cover power bills, and it had reduced the price so much that they weren't prepared for it. If they would have been a little bit more prepared for it with their risk management and sold a lot more of their Bitcoin at the top of the last cycle, they could have floated all through the cycle, you know, mining their Bitcoin without having to sell a bunch of it, and you'd be in a much better position. In fact, I think it's to the point to where, you know, MicroStrategy's buy and hold Bitcoin strategy outpaced, obviously, the Bitcoin mining strategy by and large, right? So we'll have to see how it goes. I think you got to have a much longer time horizon with Bitcoin mining and cryptocurrency mining in general. And that's something I'm trying to learn. You know, this will be my third full cycle. And I'm kind of learning, you know, how much do you really need to get into cash reserves to be prepared to take advantage of, you know, price of equipment going down and the price of cryptocurrency going down and so on. Like, what do you need to have in your reserves, and what is good risk management as far as all that's concerned? I didn't really do a whole ton of risk management on the last cycle. That's why I ended up in a pickle like I did, along with a few other reasons. But I think, you know, we can just perfect that strategy a little bit more and be a little bit better off for the next time it comes around. Yes, Tactics says Master holds Bitcoin 447,000 Bitcoin at an average price of 62,000. Yeah, I mean that definitely seems to have worked. And then Shoe Monster said Dems ruined crypto. Hopeful we regular guys can be profitably mining soon again. And that's you know, I think one of the bullish things I heard on Inauguration Day from Donald Trump was he was going to get energy costs under control. And I think that it wasn't a single factor this previous cycle. So if we go 2 cycles ago and you get into 2018 and the price of crypto is coming down, at least your power didn't skyrocket at the same time. So home miners could still mine feasibly, and like smaller players could still mine from a power perspective. And when it started coming back, you know, mining was really already pretty decently profitable at this point in the cycle last time because of the cost of energy. Whereas this time, you know, it's a lot more difficult even right now, why I was giving you the strategies, you know, surrounding when to buy and sell and your risk management for covering your power bill and all that earlier, is because, you know, we are still having to play that game of making sure we have enough to cover power and all of that. It's a very difficult and tricky situation. So, and I think right now, I did say this, like my personal strategy right now, as far as things are concerned, is I'm stacking hash rate, total hash rate over efficiency right now. And the way I'm playing out this cycle the next time is when we hit peak, I'm liquidating everything and buying the next most efficient thing as soon as it comes out. So that's kind of my strategy. Because I know you said you mine your efficient equipment, and I think that's fair. But I don't think buying efficient equipment over buying the most hash rate is necessarily the strategy for growth as I see it. Because right now, the strategy for growth is get as much hash rate as possible so that it compounds as quickly as possible, right? Once you're overpaying for the power bill at this point, which we already are on most older equipment, not all the way down to like S17s or anything like that yet. I presume we do get to that point, but once you're into that profitable range, like let's say like an S19 Pro, I think is right within that green range, depending on your power cost and all that. I think if you look at like an average hosting fees of like 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour or whatever, you could get it hosted, buy one of those. They're barely green, but if you have a whole bunch of them, when they get more and more green, you've just compounded it, as opposed to just having a single miner where you're already covering that cost. You know, that's kind of my strategy. I'm cool with everybody else's strategy if they want to share them, but that's kind of the way I've been looking at it. All right, so I was notified by Tourniquet Rules that BlocX has moved to proof of stake. Now, obviously, I had just given them props for moving to ASIC resistance the other day, and unfortunately, basically right afterwards or right around that same time on Monday, let's see when this post was. I don't even think this post was Monday. Let's see, January 21st. Yeah, so this was yesterday that they officially announced it. And they had started talking about it in Discord on Monday. And they said, yes, you heard it right. BlocX 2.0 is on the way. And it says, why proof of stake grid box and where is proof of work? And it said, we are moving forward and becoming EVM based. Validator nodes will be the main ones securing the blockchain, so we'll be prioritizing these. Our product Gridbox will drive its growth with a portion of block rewards allocated there. That's not all. Running a validator node will also come with a big advantage. These nodes can be offered in the future as storage rental to our marketplace, allowing users to combine staking and node renting with Gridbox. So they don't cover this directly, which is really interesting. Obviously, they announce here that they're moving to proof of stake, but they don't really, say exactly why, just that it's going to be most beneficial for their validator nodes. They're also changing, their emissions outputs. I've always had problems with cryptocurrencies that do this, because if you set your emissions schedule, within your white paper and then you change it, you've effectively changed what people were signing up to participate in the first place. So I don't like that, but I guess there's not a lot of control over it, and validator nodes their proof of stake nodes were basically, I think outvoting the GPU miners anyways. But you'll be able to add our mainnet on MetaMask, which is why they went EVM based. So, if you have a MetaMask wallet, you can add that in. And then they will have smart contracts. So save all data on the blockchain, launch tokens, blah, blah, blah. Nothing really special here as far as those things are concerned. Now they are changing master nodes to validator nodes. So master nodes will be converting over to validator nodes. It says, don't worry, we already have some master node partners supporting this shift. So if you don't wish to set up your own, you'll be able to host with them. At least that's what they're saying. And I don't know. I don't pay attention too much to proof of stake validators, master nodes, all that sort of thing anymore. I don't know the specific positives and negatives to master node versus validator nodes. I'd like to hear about those more, and maybe we can do some more research on it. But I am a proof of work guy, so at the same time, I'm like, I have a lot to keep up in my head already. Do I need to figure out what a validator node advantage over a master node is? I'm not so sure, but says they are introducing a validator node lockup period for unstaking. While the traditional lockup period on proof of stake networks is 30 days, they are going to lock you up for 15 days. And I guess that's one of the advantages, is that, you know, validator nodes will impact essentially the supply of the token, which can drive the price up. And master nodes, I believe, at least their master nodes were, you know, X11 fork. I believe those ones from Dash, you know, you could basically unstake at any given time. And so it doesn't have this 15-day lockup, which affects, you know, daily emissions or daily liquidity. There we go. Transaction fee burning and coin locking is what they're also doing. So they're doing a lot of things that, you know, we've seen Ethereum do. We've seen a lot of other projects do. They start doing these reduction of supply moves to essentially drive the price of the cryptocurrency up after the early participants have built up big enough bags to not be impacted. I don't know if this is the way you actually get more participants, because if you're, you know, 50% is being burned forever and 50% will be locked for future reward allocation. And that's for transaction fees. So let me know what you guys think. I always see these as, I mean, what it is, which is supply manipulation to drive the price up. That's what I read when I read these types of things. Am I, you know, am I showing a bias here? Probably. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Move that over there. So the reward schedule will be 70% validator nodes, proof of stake, 20% grid box hosts. Now, this is where GPU miners can still participate, is on their grid box hosting side of things, from my understanding. So they are going to be moving forward with that, which means that you can still get, you know, 20% on Gridbox by offering your GPU to Gridbox for them to process AI, etc. I think there's a lot of different things that they can process, or for rentals, whatever it may be. I haven't downloaded or utilized Gridbox yet. If you have, let me know. I want to check it out, you know, obviously when these changes happen. I don't think these changes have had an actual release date announcement yet, so we'll have to wait and see as far as that's concerned. They also have 5% treasury and marketing support. So there you go, or for the treasury and marketing support. So 5% developer support and 5% treasury. So, you know, more and more, it's just extremely common for all of these projects to have some sort of developer fund, some sort of treasury. All these sorts of things are very common now in projects. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are fully intended to do something nefarious anymore. Whereas, you know, previously, if you did have a pre-mine on a cryptocurrency, it was almost guaranteed that you're going to get rug pulled. That was just like I was showing you guys, you know, the current strategy of rug pullers on Solana, how they're doing it with the little step ups. That is essentially what, you know, a pre-mine meant previously. Now it doesn't always mean that. It still is, you know, something that makes people uneasy in these projects, and I think rightfully so. Now, with the longevity of BlocX so far, it appears that they are here to stay and to actually work on their project. And to be fair, their application suite is to basically do a bunch of other stuff, not just be a blockchain. So I think there's a distinction there. And I think we start seeing these crossovers more and more, where it's like, this is an application suite that also runs a blockchain. And in those particular scenarios, I think you'll have more commonly things like, developer funds, treasury, and all of that sort of thing. Imagine, right, you end up having like a Steam storefront, as an example, right? You get a Steam storefront running on the blockchain that validates the NFT to the rights of the ownership of the game you have, all of that, right? And then a payout, for each sale is going to essentially the developer of the game, and a payout goes to the platform to continue developing that platform. In those particular cases, I think if you actually have active development, we're pretty good to go. What we typically see, though, and why people are gun shy surrounding this, is it's like, here's a token, here's the dev fund, no development done ever again. Dev fund gets dumped, everybody goes home crying, and except for the devs, they go home, to a steak dinner, sir. But I think this is just going to be more common, because I think blockchain's going to be applied to a lot more use cases, right? So the transaction fee is similar to gas fees on other networks, 50% burned forever and 50% locked for future reward additions. So what now? It says our team has initiated development, so expect additional updates soon. We aim to make the migration as easy as possible. For those holding coins in our wallets, there's nothing you need to do. Why the decision? Well, the EVM chain validator nodes are the backbone of the network, which is why we're allocating a major supply to the nodes. And they're moving away from proof of work, at the same time maintaining GPU rewards for grid box hosts. Like I said, their main ploy here is going to be grid box, right? That's what they want you guys doing. And then promoting our product and extending GPU lifetimes. So I think part of that is the idea is if you are, not constantly running a GPU at 100%, I think their argument there is like your GPU will last longer. It does say grid box rewards will be 20%, providing a significant bonus for machine hosts on top of their earnings, therefore driving a strategic marketplace growth. So I'll be looking into grid box for you guys. Obviously, I need to keep up with these sorts of things. Stay tuned to the channel for that, because we'll go over grid box, how it works, and we'll look at profitability on it after all this is implemented. Of course, not prior to. I mean, we could do it before and after, I suppose. But that is BlocX 2.0. They are no longer GPU mineable. However, they do let you earn with GPUs. I'm up in the air. How do you guys feel about it? Thanks for the thumbs up, boys. All right, we have to talk about a scam. This is going to be a fun one. Let me get some water. All right. Someone just commented their seed phrase on a YouTube video. Is it a scam? One of the socials, on one of socials, Reddit grammar will forgive it. Someone commented, a bit off topic, but I wanted to ask, my OKX wallet holds some USDT and I have the seed phrase. Then they list the actual seed phrase and asked how they can transfer it to one of the centralized exchanges. The account has about $1,000 in it. My first thought was, obviously this is someone who doesn't know what they're doing. But then I simply searched Google and I found similar comments made on various content and pages of it. So now that makes it look like a scam, but what is the scam exactly? I mean, commenting your seed phrase is like handing the keys to the castle to a complete stranger. Am I missing something? And we can actually demonstrate what's going on here because, well, somebody did one of these comments on my YouTube video. So what am I going to do? Well, of course, I'm going to go figure it out. So right here, you guys can see I do have the OKX wallet pulled up. I actually already have it here. And what I've done is I've recovered one of these seed phrases. Oh, if I can type in see you next Tuesday ever again. There we go. All right. So this one in particular has $8,825.43 of USDT and various other cryptocurrencies within it. And what you will notice right now, it actually does have some Tron, but I believe you can click onto here. You can see here that this is USDT on Tron. They don't have any in Ethereum or BNB or Solana or anything else, right? So what you have to be able to do in this particular case is essentially convert this and send it out. Now, this wallet right now does have enough Tron to make an actual transaction. But if you go to make the transaction, this is actually perfect because this isn't always the case. Let's say somebody throw me a USDT or a Tron address real quick in chat, or I can just go Google one that away. Let me just go grab one. That way we aren't doing anything crazy. Here we go. That's a contract address. I want an actual address. All right, there we go. So if we go to send some out, add now, blah, 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 confirm. What will happen is you'll get this initial, or you'll get this no sufficient permission to transfer. And what that essentially means is this is a multi-signature wallet, right? Rumble chat doesn't work with Restream, so I apologize over there, Patrick. But essentially, they've completely blocked out the ability to be able to send out. So how does the scam work in general? Well, if you don't have enough fees in the wallet, you'll actually, at least prior to this, you would get a notification that you didn't have sufficient fees. So what do you do to get fees or to cover fees? Well, you have to send the wallet some Tron because there's no Tron in the wallet itself, right? So what people do is they then want to try to steal the Tron, funny enough, and they send the Tron to the wallet to cover fees. And then as soon as you send the Tron to the wallet, as you can see here, they extract that Tron to their wallet. So that's how that scam is working. You could recover a seed phrase. It's not going to hurt you or anything other than maybe they can, you know, find your IP address if you're not using a VPN, things like that. I don't think that that's really, they're not going to go to the extent of that. Now, what is crazy is the amount of transactions that they have. Because somebody said if they're only taking fees, how are they getting so much money, or how are they making so much money? This is just one wallet that I've recovered, and it is a lot of transactions. A lot of transactions. We're just still scrolling, right? A lot of them are failed, but anytime someone sends some Tron over there to cover it, boom, they snag it out, right? Just over and over and over and over and over. So you do that enough times, and then I guess it becomes profitable, right? I believe there was one way to look at. I had done this earlier. Oh, maybe I can't. No. Anyways, I believe there was a way to look at total sent. I think we can just copy the address out, right? Does this show everything? So total asset value is 8,000 because it's showing the USDT. I thought there was a way. I did this earlier. I'm sorry, guys. I don't remember how to do it, but there is a way to show essentially how much it was for Tron itself. Ins and outs, right? I don't know why there's no total transactions. So fees alone were 177. And show more. Maybe it's not on this chain. Historical balance. Let's see. Time is more valuable. Anyways, so that's basically what's happening. A bunch of transactions. I mean, you see pages of them. I guess a lot of people are really falling for it. There's about 100 pages worth of in and out transfers to and from. Pretty funny. So that is how that scam is working if you're curious. I might go over more and post later once I figure out how to see total out and in transfers. I'm not familiar with OKX's in particular. I guess we could go to Tron, right? Let's see. Tron, Block Explorer, Tron scan. Oh, this is fun. So you can see where they show you now where the current account owner's permission is authorized to. That's cool. Okay, so you can see that, and then we can see transfers. Do they do total? $1,600 transfers, 1,177 in and 520 out. I wish there was one that would just say total amount of transactions sent, but here we go. So this one started in December. There's the account permission, though. I guess we could look at the. Well, he's only got 28 Tron, and I assume he basically gets it here and then he sends it through a mixer or something along those lines, right? you would make more making fake sign pages for a popular exchange with a keylogger attached. Yeah, I think that this is like, I assume, here's what I assume happens. Oh, by the way, I was looking at all these transactions and wasn't showing you guys, but here's what I assume happens. I assume that these people justify their behavior ethically, saying that people that would do this are trying to steal the cryptocurrency out of these people's accounts, right? So I think it's like they probably justify it in that manner, and then they're like, I have this clever idea, right? Yeah, Tumblr. But that's how that's been working. So if you recover it, just know you're never going to be able to get anything out of it. So if you send it Tron, he's just going to skim the Tron and take it away from you. It's pretty funny. Not that big of a threat, but pretty funny. All right, so we are going to do a cryptocurrency first impressions today. We're going to be doing a first impression of Blobfish Coin. This is a new proof of work cryptocurrency meme coin that is also supposed to be a game. So let's go ahead and check it out. So Blobfish Coin, let's go to about. It's a community-driven meme coin built with purpose, fairness, and accessibility, inspired by the lovable, so ugly it's cute Blobfish. Blobfish Coin is here to make crypto mining approachable, engaging, and rewarding for everyone, all while supporting a quirky, internet-friendly culture. So what is it? Squish is a proof of work cryptocurrency that prioritizes fairness, community engagement, and decentralization. Using the ASIC resistant Quai algorithm, Blobfish Coin is accessible to everyday miners with GPU setups, keeping it decentralized and community focused from the start. Blobfish Coin is a meme with a mission, combining the internet's love of the quirky blobfish with a truly fair, transparent mining process. With a total supply of 50 billion coins, Blobfish Coin is designed to be widely accessible, giving everyone a chance to mine, earn, and be a part of a growing community. Anytime somebody says community, I want to vomit. That's just code for I want you to buy this coin so I can dump it on your head. That's how I feel about it. But that's okay. Everybody uses it. And that's fine if they have fun in their little community. It's good. So it's basically a meme coin that you can mine. I will look at the mining statistics here in just a little bit, but there's the name. The ticker is Squish. You got a 50 billion max supply, proof of work, Quai, and 100-second block times. So pretty quick block times in comparison. Not as quick as everything's becoming these days, but there you go. What is that? A minute and 40 seconds? Is that right? Yeah, something like that. Almost 2 minutes per block, which is, I guess, slow this day and age, but used to be fast. So they got 10,000 coins per block for the first week to reward early miners. And then they go down to 5,000 coins per block after the first few weeks. And then the halving schedule is every 2 years after that. Here's the problem, my friends. We have a pre-mine. So 1% of the total supply, 500 million coins, allocated as follows. I guess so 50% of the total supply is, or of the 1% of the total supply, so that would be 250 million coins is a development fund, it sounds like, and then you got 125 million coins for airdrops, contests, and community events, and then 125 million for listings, influencer outreach, and campaigns. Don't do it. You know I'm gonna dog on you hard if you pay somebody. Vosscoin's gonna have a Vosscoin's gonna have a video on this tomorrow. I'm just kidding. I gotta give you a hard time, boss. Somebody will, though. Somebody will. when they do it, just know that there is definitely an influencer outreach campaign there. So wallets and exchanges, Windows wallet is available. There is no Linux wallet, I guess, but we'll go to the GitHub and see what's going on over there. A mobile wallet is coming, and then upcoming exchanges so far is ZegX and MEXC. That would be a pretty big exchange to get listed on. But right now you can get some, I guess it's exhausted, but they were giving out 250,000 squish for a little bit, but I guess that's gone now. And then there is apparently a game that's on the roadmap, but we'll have to see, you know, where that's headed to, because who knows? Apparently the mobile expansion and game alpha release will be coming. There's no date that they've listed on it. I think they should get a date up here. If you want me to believe you on your roadmap, excuse me, let me get the desktop. So if you want me to believe you on the roadmap, make sure that you put release dates. But it says that there's going to be missions and battles, a breeding system, so I guess Pokemon style, and then in-game economy and competitive modes. If they actually come out with a game, that'd be kind of cool. So there is that as far as that's concerned. I think the faucet is all gone. And then you got the Blobfish game. We talked about all of this. I haven't checked out the... let's see. I don't want to go to the Discord. I haven't checked out the GitHub yet. I wonder if they have it. Yeah, here we go. So it's all listed here, just the same things that we saw over on the website. So we'll have to see where it goes here. It just released a few weeks ago, I believe. But I have not started mining it. Do I think it's worth it? Well, I think that's really up in the air right now. Everything is extremely kind of meh in the cryptocurrency space as far as GPU mining goes. There's not a lot of options. It is an option. I think if you could build your own node and solo mine it, maybe probably worth it, you know? I'd have to go look and see if they even have nodes available, all of that sort of thing. It doesn't look like there's one here in particular. I don't see any guides. There's no real documentation as far as that's concerned. And then it doesn't look like there's a QT wallet and some wrapped. I mean, this might be the node, I guess. The QT wallet wouldn't be. Anyways, I'm curious as far, I mean, it definitely sounds like a fork. 94% of the hash rate is going to our plant. What that most likely means is when it's ticking over profitability numbers, these big pumps and spikes, they're just automatically changing the algorithm because that's how our plant works. So they're saying you're mining Kapow. What's the most profitable Kapow? It mines it and it converts it for you to Bitcoin. So it's probably what's going on as far as this is concerned. I'm mining Waglayla, so why not? I would mine this if it wasn't already listed. I'm not going to lie, but it's already listed. So you guys know me. I like to mine things that aren't listed. Unfortunately, I didn't catch this in time to do so. So, you know, it is what it is. Right now, I believe the block reward's going to be around 5,000 per block every 100 seconds. So the daily emissions are pretty high. And their Explorer's not working. So get on that, guys. get on that. How do you find TON tokens to mine? I'm going to take that. That's actually a really good question, Frank. And I'm going to take that and put that in my video ideas docs, if that's cool with you. There's tokens on TON you can mine, I think is what he's saying. Like, what was it, Graham? Other stuff like that. There is more than one. I don't know how you find out about those. I always find out about them through like a Telegram post or something like that. As far as those are concerned, it's easier to find the proof of work stuff. I mean, I think Graham I found through a honeypot, which was basically just a rentable rig on the Vast AI that somebody rented, and I figured that out. So that is Blobfish. I'm going to say, I don't know about mining it. Maybe if you were early enough, makes sense to have a little bag. Maybe I'll go mine a little bit just to have a little bag because I can. And it's winter, so Kapow's nice for winter. You know what I mean? Next, we're going to be doing a reaction to why I'm changing everything for 2025 for mining from the Hobbyist Miner. The link is down in the description below. And let's go ahead and see what he has going on today.
Small GPU mining with 4 gigabit cards.
Let me rewind it.
What's going on, miners, and welcome back to the channel. 2025 is just around the corner, and I've been putting a ton of thought into what my hardware strategy is going to be. As a home crypto miner, I've been growing over the last 3.5 years, starting out getting into small GPU mining with 4 gigabit cards and now up to full-size ASICs. But what I've always talked about on my channel and recommended time and time again is to diversify. And that not only means the cryptocurrency that I'm buying, the cryptocurrency that I'm mining, it also means the
I don't know about any IoT devices, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but I remember when everybody was hopping on the train for the little cameras, which I have some cameras, so I hopped on the train too. But apparently they're in trouble too. We're going to see that from Tactical here in a second.
Hardware that I'm investing into. So in today's video, we're going to talk about my 2025 plan for crypto mining hardware. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, and one that is on many home crypto miners' minds that have been in the scene for the last few years, and that's GPU mining. I had the pleasure of visiting a hosting facility just last week that specialized in...
I know those guys. Metered mining. I got to meet them up in Minnesota when I went up there for the crypto mining, the crypto mining conference, or the Bitcoin mining conference from Scott. It was cool. It was nice meeting them.
GPU mining, and I'll be honest, I got a little bit of that itch, but I think it was less of like, I want to buy and build GPU mining rigs, and more of, I want to get my hands dirty.
Should have sold those cards at the peak of last bull run, brother. That's like, I mean, I'm thinking this is like old B-roll, right?
Building rigs again, and we'll talk about that more in the near future. That being said, though, I have not entirely...
You should sell all 30 series rigs and 6,000 series rigs and 5,000 series rigs this bull run. Period. GDDR7's out. That's the plan for this bull run. Get rid of all 3,000 series, all 6,000 series, and then move on.
Exited GPU mining. I actually have a ton of GPUs that I'm actually slowly selling off on Facebook Marketplace. About 60 or so GPUs left.
I think it's a little early to sell them, especially with tariffs coming in. You do have, like, if we get tariffs rolling in, they affect the price of GPUs, and then you're able to sell used GPUs without the price of tariffs, and then add in the bull market on top of that. I think even within the next 6 months, you might see the prices of these used GPUs go up 50%, right?
Left. I've been focusing on Facebook Marketplace, selling them in onesie, twosie situations. because of the fact that when I've tried on Discord or on eBay, I just don't get the numbers for each of the GPUs that I honestly am.
The YouTubers have so much in ASICs, you don't know how they're ever going to be profitable. What do you mean on ASICs?
Comfortable selling them for. And you might be like, wait, why are you
ASICs will be profitable in the, like, it'll be the same thing. It depends on the age of them, right? But even last bull run. Yeah, the new 50 series cards are going to be the way you want to go, because the new 50 series cards are going to essentially have GDDR7, which is going to make you kingpin on Ergo. And as you guys have seen, like, the only thing that's ever that's been consistently bouncing into most profitable and whatnot on hashrate.no has been Ergo.
selling your GPUs? Well, I actually did a whole video on this, and I'll link it directly down below. But let me give you the cliff notes. I've had my GPU mining rigs off for several months now, on and off over the last 2.5 years of us being in the current bear market. And I'll be straightforward, I do not view GPU mining straight up as being profitable. And many of you may argue this. And what I say to you is making cents per day doesn't logistically make sense for.
Yeah, but you're looking at the price now. I mean, so Red Panda goes along the lines of mine and hold. I'm not fully on board with that. And then, you know, we looked at Modern Mining, very good video. Make sure you go check out his channel as well. He's kind of looking at daily mining profits to determine whether you shut off or not. I think that's really why I wanted to do the topic on, you know, essentially scalp trading and utilizing those principles and the things that we learned from that to make yourself more profitable than just by a few cents a day, right? Like, you're just not seeing the whole story there.
For me, but it may for you. Now, I am going to keep.
Plus, there's speculative mining. Let's not forget about that. That paid off a lot over the bear market.
One 12-card rig, which is my 3070 rig, one of my proudest rigs, and it's in an Octominer X12. And I plan to keep that and to continue to speculative mine with it. I've actually thought about.
Yeah, so there, he's covered speculative mining.
At first, I thought about doing like.
I think that speculative mining should be high density, high efficiency cards, like 4090s, like 5090s, and just a couple of them. That's what I think you should do for speculative mining now. And maybe honestly just speculative mine whatever on your gaming rig, right? Find something that you're adding in there. That way your risk profile is pretty low.
Like a YouTube series.
But you're also maximizing the amount that you're going to get and be competitive with, right? Or the CMP 175s or whatever, right? CMP not as good because speculative mining is heavily leaning on coins that are moving to ASICs. And so higher clock speeds are going to come into play there. And so that would be my only argument against like a CMP 175 over a 4090 or a 5090 here soon.
Series on spec mining with it, but I think I would really enjoy doing something more interactive and once a month doing a live stream or something with the community, looking into some coins, settling on one, and then going ahead and setting up that rig live on stream. Let me know your comments down below. Would you prefer a video series once a month on swapping these coins or a live stream that is more interactive? I'd love to go ahead and get your thoughts. That being said, I'm looking to sell my GPUs and my server cases. They will be listed individually. I decided to go that route on my Discord this upcoming weekend when you guys do watch this. So go over, check it out, and reach out to me if you're interested in any of my graphics cards or GPU mining server cases. Today's video is sponsored by the team over at Pinex.us.
All right, so he's sponsored by Pinex. If you guys want to go over and use that affiliate code.
I'm excited to partner up with Pinex.us to help announce that Caspa is now live on their platform and tradable today. You can now buy, sell, and trade Caspa actively on Pinex.us.
Stop buying Caspa right now.
Pinex.us is the first US regulated exchange to list Caspa. To help kick off the fun, Pinex.us is running a 100,000 Caspa giveaway event. Check out the link.
Wait. Well, I guess you can only, so US regulated. Oh, so dox your Caspa. Okay, got it.
In the video description to enter to win. So let's talk about ASIC mining.
Non-KYC exchanges are usually what I prefer, but you know, if you want to go this route, make sure you go check out and utilize his affiliate codes, etc.
ASIC mining has been something that has really taken off and has been very profitable for me over the last, I'd say, 2 years or so. I started ASIC mining in my home mining shed, quickly outgrew that with just the sound, the noise, and the heat, and decided to partner up with my electrician, building out a 12 by 12 shed that he already had for lawn equipment over at his house. And I actually am on version 2 of that build out. My first version wasn't bad, but I was very limited to about 10 ASICs, 1 from the heat and 2 from the noise. And we quickly solved that over the last year, back in August, by entirely renovating the shed and the airflow design to utilize inline fan shroud systems. And that has been absolutely
cool.
Amazing. 1, we've added a dedicated 400 amp commercial service, and 2, it's allowed me to expand. Right,
400 amp at 220. How many watts is that? I feel like that's not much power at all. And then 80% rule. 70,000 watts divided by what? 3,200? 22 S19s. I guess that's okay. I mean, you're just going to want to go dense as possible, right?
now, as of today,
What is a 400? What does 400 amp panel cost these days? I think when I did it, it was like $2,500 for the work and the cable pulling and everything, and then maybe another whatever it was for the licensing.
the time recording this, I have
Which I think is depending on where you live.
27 ASICs.
Okay, yes, 27 ASICs on it.
Absolutely insane. And diversifying
400 amps. So, well, low power
has been
mode.
huge for me. And I plan to do that moving into 2020.
And like, I know he has some of those like smaller, like little miners. Maybe some of those are in there.
I'm very Caspa heavy. We got some Bitcoin miners in there. We got a variety of Dogecoin and script miners in there. And then a little bit of everything. K7s, DR7s, E9 Pros, a variety of other ones out there. One thing I've done is I've really leaned a lot towards Caspa, and it's kind of gone against a little bit of my philosophy of diversifying. While I'm very heavy,
I'm curious as to why a lot of people leaned heavy Caspa, especially with the cost of the crypto miners themselves, the fast emissions rates, and the quick release schedule of Caspa ASICs, basically very quickly making, you know, the previous ASIC completely unviable. Like I don't know, like I haven't even looked in a while, but like, what are Caspa ASICs like right now? At 8 cents a kilowatt hour. So KS 5 Pros at $7 a day at 8 cents a kilowatt hour. And then you start going negative in the, let's see, what was the KS 1s, 2s, KS 3s, KS 1? Yeah, it's all negative. But yeah, these were running for, how much were these? They're like insane, right? Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to get deals and free ones sent and be able to have access to people that are selling some used. I don't remember. I don't know exactly what he did. I'm just kind of wondering. I don't think I would invest in Caspa ASICs. Well, I know I won't, but um, and I lean more Bitcoin heavy. Well, the only thing I mine with ASICs is Bitcoin.
On Caspa, and I'm very faithful that Caspa will have a good opportunity in 2025 with a massive pump. I do need to be smart and diversify. Diversifying is extremely important, and I've constantly talked about this on my channel with a lot of collaborations with your friend Andy or Seb Heslow, talking about the value of diversifying not only my portfolio but also my mining equipment. And I don't want to venture away from that in 2025. I want to
KSO still
continue
looking
doing
good.
that. And so that
I do have a KSO. It's just solo mining.
in mind, as I look into 2025, I really have my eyes on more script miners. I wish I knew now than just my thoughts of L7s or more DG1s or the DG1 pluses. Man, the L7, I wish I bought more of those a while back.
Yeah, this is the problem I have with ASICs. It's like FOMOing into a cryptocurrency, and anytime I FOMOed into a cryptocurrency, I lose. Like there's no strategy around ASICs. It's like you FOMO in and then you just kind of hope that the project does good.
But I have had my eyes on the L9. I'm really thinking about pulling the trigger and buying one for a January batch. The price is a little higher than what I want, and I really want to get one of those 17 gigahash models versus the 16 gigahash. And I know it's only 1 gigahash. What's the big deal? But I like buying equipment at the top of the technology.
And like I said, to be fair, by the way, the script miners are the most diverse miners you can buy, meaning they can mine the most amount of different types of cryptocurrency, and you have merge mining with them. They're basically as close to GPUs as you can get in an ASIC, and I am all for script miners for sure. I just, like I said, with ASICs, I lean into Bitcoin.
Technology curve, and I do think it's extremely important. Now, I'm maxed out here when it comes down to my ASIC shed. It's full. I'm at 80% on my 40 amp 240 volt setup there. I'm not going to be adding any more ASICs to that shed. I do have a number of ASICs hosted right now, about 15 ASICs. So I really have a choice to make. Do I continue to host ASICs that I'm buying, or do I decide to look at my third location? We have the home mining shed here. We have my ASIC shed. And do I look at a third location? The downside of a third location is I don't know if I'm looking, and I'm not sure if I'm going to spend the money to renovate a shed or to buy a shed and turn it into an inline fan system like I have here, as well as adding in a 400 amp service. So a lot to think about there, because a lot of upfront expenses versus hosting. Love to hear your thoughts. Do you guys think I should open up a third location, or should I just take those funds and reinvest them into more ASIC miners and host them? All right.
I think right now we're getting close enough to the bull run that you want to just have as much hash power as you possibly can. And you can host them, and it's not going, as long as you're hosting it with someone you trust, then you're going to be able to sell them, you know, for more money. You can't sell a shed for more money in the bull run, right? You can sell miners for more money in the bull run. I've always said build the infrastructure out during the bear market so you're prepared to handle all of the load in the bull run.
So deepen in 2025. Deepen a
Or vice versa. Stack the ASICs. I'm already messing up the strategy. I went all reverse. Stack the ASICs in the bear market and build the infrastructure in the bull run. Yes. It's just how close are we really like to the bull run, right? I still think right now we're in the stacking period.
Is like blowing up right now, and to the point where it's almost oversaturating the market. Everybody seems to have a deep pin project out there right now, and everyone is riding this wave of find some type of purpose and add a cryptocurrency earning mechanism into it. And it's absolutely been nuts. Now, my biggest and most profitable project out there for DPIN has been Helium Mobile. And in the current state of Helium Mobile right now, I am not only frustrated, but I'm burned out with the Helium Mobile project. I've gotten profits in the past and I've taken them. However, as a CBRS operator, I have found very quickly that the Helium Mobile team is doing everything in their power to push out CBRS radio operators like myself. I mean, the profits are abysmal. They have been. They're not doing anything to fix the problem with the CBRS radios. They're instead just releasing their own Helium hotspot miners. And that project has shifted, just like we saw with a lot of other
Helium's really gone downhill, hasn't it?
Projects where CBRS was their focus, and now it's pivoted over to hotspots, and they're kind of abandoning the original network and infrastructure that they got into. So that's really frustrating. That being said, GeoNet and WeatherXM have been my most exciting DPIN projects, I'd say, over the last 6 months. I've really enjoyed installing them. You literally set them and forget them. They just work, and I love that. And there's none of this in-between crap that I've seen with Helium Mobile, where things could instantly change in a month because of something was voted upon, and now your unit's not worth it anymore, or it's not making what it was. Helium Mobile and WeatherXM have been fantastic. I wish I would have got into GeoNet significantly earlier when DJ Mines had recommended it to me. Shout out to DJ. And on top of that, WeatherXM, I wish I would have got mine in earlier. I ordered it, but it took so long to get to me, weeks and weeks and weeks, that I didn't get to participate in
6
testnet,
kilowatt
which I
usable.
wish I would have.
Solar?
So my eyes are on a lot of these projects now with DPIN that are in testnet. And many of you may go, wait, what? Why are you buying hardware that's not instantly earning you profitability? And my thought is DPIN projects have a low cost of entry. And I know for some of you, you're thinking,
see, though, I mean, why not buy the low cost of entry ASIC miners right now? I mean, so I'm doing the same strategy, but I'm doing it with Bitcoin ASIC miners, right? So, you know, as opposed to paying $400 for a DPIN, whatever keyword you want to use for all that stuff. And then it used to be called, what was it called before DPIN? IoT. It's basically IoT integrated with crypto. Anyways, you could buy, like, literally buy a whole S19.
$20. I'm thinking more a couple $100. But when I look at ASIC mining, GPU mining, or any other large scale mining, we're talking thousands of dollars. So DPIN is a great, easy to get.
See, that's just not true. I even just bought saw two S19Is for $250 each. It's cheaper than most of the DPIN options. I think it doesn't have to be thousands.
Get into from a financial,
and then you're also in an easier position of, you know, managing those funds. Whereas, like, if you're buying like 5-10 different DPIN projects, you're trying to like convert, move, sell 15 different cryptocurrencies. That's making you, well, like you said, with GPU mining, pennies. But then it's not a big enough amount to like keep track of all of that properly. I don't know.
Side as
that's been my experience with anything, like from the cameras to the hotspots to whatever it is.
With the projects out there. So for me, testnet is in my crosshairs. I'm looking for projects in testnet.
I do think that's a good idea. If you're going to do it, projects in testnet are probably the best. I think that is the best way to do it, because then you have the highest upside potential, because you already have the hardware before there's demand for the hardware. The flip side of that, you end up with a piece of equipment that's worthless. So it's a little bit more risky, I would say, than just buying an S19.
And Star Power is one that I found more recently, just did a video on, which is like an under $100 smart plug that I can.
So I guess that's fair. I'm not going to find anything for under $100 unless you're going with like what, an S9, which I don't know that. I don't know. What do you guys think like an S9 or an S17 maybe, depending on who you buy it from, or one of those mini, a mini Doge or something? Mini Doge probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Like an old one. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think S9s will go up in value this bull run? That would be wild if they did. Like,
plug my miners into,
wild.
gives me some smart plug functionality, as well as it works on home miners, and I'm able to earn testnet token. So that's been awesome. So if you guys have any DPIN projects that are in testnet, please leave me a comment down below what they are and why I should get into them, because I'd love to learn more about those projects. So in 2025, let's talk home mining, because that's not changing. As a home miner and as a content creator, I'm going to plan to continue to use my home mining shed. It's actually turned into like my home miner shed, really. I have a lot of like
Star
jazz
Power
miners
unit with
in
your
there,
coffee
and
machine
gold
in your
shells
kitchen
and ice
Nice, New
rivers.
England.
And it's got my server in there and my GPU spec mining rig with my 3070s. Now, we do have...
Oh, look at those ugly green things. What a scam those were. I'm sorry. I can't stand the evergreen miners.
my immersion setup in there, which is not very home miner-esque, but it does get the message across that like you can run ASIC miners, full-size Bitcoin miners from home with a little bit of capital, about $1,500 to $2,000 for an immersion setup, and not worry about heat and not worry about the sound, which is awesome. But I plan to continue to use that shed to increase and grow my home miner setup. More specifically, I've actually had my eyes on more jazz miners.
Those immersions are pretty
Ethereum, cool. Or ETH hash miners, should I say. Jazz miners are Ethereum Classic. And you might go like, really? Like, why? Well, I'm up to about 5 jazz miners right now. Actually, one of them is an iPolo V1H that have all been on Octaspace for months and months and months. And it's been crazy profitable as a home miner. More specifically, running Octaspace and Zill. Now, I know Zill is going away here, but Octaspace is crazy. If you look at Octaspace over the last year, it has gone up significantly. And I do think this is one of those like sleeping giants that I've talked about this several times on the channel during collaborations. And the jazz miners just make sense, especially the ones that are wireless and that are quiet, because I've started to put those throughout the house during the fall and winter to start to...
Do we really think ET hash is the way to go though? So here's my thought. And I just, well, I don't know anything about Octaspace, but I always think about like ET hash and ETC hash. It's like, well, it's kind of the worst of both worlds, right? It's got this ASIC resistance built into it to where the ASICs are not as efficient due to it having had resistance built into it at some point and the memory requirements. So it destroys the potential for ASIC miner efficiency. And then it's still, now it's no longer really competitive to use GPUs on it. And so it's in this weird middle ground. Like, I think if you're choosing to start a project or thinking about what you want to do with your mining algorithm, I think you just need to swap to one or the other and stay off of ET hash. I think it's an outdated, dumb algorithm.
heat the house and not worry about running my furnace. So as a home miner, I'm planning to go down that route and utilizing the shed more and more, especially as we start to look into AI rigs. So AI rigs and AI compute and AI platforms are the talk of the town now amongst the community. Everyone's looking for an option.
I don't think, I think AI is just put into everything to sell it to you. And I think by and large, 99% of AI projects will not even do anything for AI other than sell you something.
Opportunity to repurpose their GPU mining hardware. And I haven't quite stepped into that space yet. There's been a lot of great content by people out there like Hawk Crypto Mining, by Max Voltage, by Mining King, by Geek of All Trades. They've all done fantastic videos on a lot of these AI platforms like Vast or Salad. Think of Brandon Coin there.
Salad.
And a lot of these other platforms that are out there, the Flux platform as well. And I haven't really dabbled into it yet. And I'm not sure, I want to get into that world with some of the funds from my GPU mining hardware that I'm selling. And so one of my first steps is actually going to be over the next few weeks, I'm looking at
Yeah, isn't it weird that Ethereum Classic didn't continue to push for GPUs, right? Remember they had that push of reducing the DAG to keep 4 gigabyte GPUs on the network, and then they kind of just stopped trying. I guess since ETH went proof of stake, they just figured they could stop trying.
Timpy has a Synaptron node, but more specifically, it's actually an AI node. And so it allows you as a home miner to take some of that old GPU mining hardware and repurpose it to run a node at home that only really focuses on the GPU. And so that is like, ooh, this is kind of different. I can repurpose some hardware. I can go ahead and step into this kind of AI space. So that's really going to be my first tiptoe into this. I'm really interested in a lot of these other platforms out there and really building some beefy rigs. If you guys remember at the top of this video, I talked about visiting a mining farm that does GPU hosting and really getting a little bit of that itch. And it was less on GPU rigs and more of just wanting to build rigs. Remember when you build GPU mining rigs? Oh, so much fun. Also so much frustration.
We know what those were.
Things, but I want to step back into that. But my big caveat, and if you guys have recommendations, leave them down below. My big caveat is that I don't want to join any of these AI projects that pay in fiat. I don't want that 30 fiat. I want crypto. That's part of why the reason that
Well, there's Chlor AI. I mean, the risk you run with any of these though is that they just never get rented out, right? And I mean, even if they do get rented out, then you eventually find, because I already went through this whole process. Unfortunately, I didn't document it because I was barely surviving at the time, all as it was with time and everything. But my experience was, you know, even when you get to the point of running it, getting validated, all that, then people just start renting it to mine cryptocurrency on. Felt like 99% of the time for me. I don't know. That was my experience. Did you guys have the same experience or different ones? I mean, definitely Chlor. Chlor is always getting rented to push into a Hive setup.
I was so interested in GPU mining for the longest time. I want that decentralization and I want the cryptocurrency. So if you guys have recommendations on AI projects that I can step into in 2025 that pay out straight out in crypto, please let me know. I'd love to know more. Okay, so
that's why, like, whenever people use the term AI, I'm just like, it's kind of bullshit. It's kind of a BS term. Like, it's just crypto mining disguised.
I rambled on for the last 10 or 15 minutes or so, a lot about my thoughts of the current states of the different parts of and niches of crypto mining and where I hope to get in.
You're making $10 a day on 430.90s. For now.
Into in 2025. It's a little bit all over the place, but I talked about
that's the other hard part is there will need to be like an AI platform integration that basically, and I think they already have it. I can't remember who I was talking to. I'll get the information for you guys. But there is already a platform that does it, that allows you to basically on downtime mine cryptocurrency while it's down, right?
Diversification. And if you guys walk away with anything from this video, I highly recommend that you guys look at 2025 and go, how can I diversify not only my crypto portfolio, but also the crypto mining hardware that I'm running? Today's video is sponsored by the team over at altairtech.io. I was in the market to purchase one of the newest generation
2 sponsors. All right, go check out altairtech.io too. And
Bitcoin miners, and Altair Tech had exactly what I was looking for. The Bitmain Antminer S19K Pro, 120 terahash Bitcoin ASIC miner.
What have you guys heard about the S19Ks? I heard a lot of them were dying. Is that still true? Have they figured that out on the later batches?
I ordered from Altair Tech via credit card and was amazed at how easy it was to
I don't
check
have
out.
any, to be
Within
clear.
3 days, I had a brand new Bitmain box sitting at my front door waiting for me. Since then, I've ordered a boatload of mining accessories from their store. The Epic UMC control board, as well as 5.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna. I mean, I guess he gave us all the
240 volt
things.
L6 30p.
It's just rude not to
PDUs.
watch the ads.
Go
I
over
feel
and check
like.
out altertech.io today and use promo code the
There you
Hobbyist
go.
Miner for
Promo code the Hobbyist Miner at Altair Tech. Use his affiliate link, not mine. I don't have one anyways. But there you go. If you guys are looking for another discount code.
discount at checkout.
Okay, so that was the end. He just ended it with an ad. Okay. All right. So I think my thought, we talked about all of it, but to wrap up, good video from Hobbyist Miner. I mean, obviously we have different methodologies. Like I think buying depend devices when in reality you can just buy really cheap used Bitcoin miners and stack those. Basically, if you're doing the depend devices, it's either going to take off and work for a little bit. I haven't seen a depend device be extremely profitable for any extended period of time, just little blips. Or you end up in a case where it's just, you just wasted money and it's just a brick, right? I think from just a strategic perspective, it'd be smarter to just buy old Bitcoin ASICs, right? That's what I think as far as that. So I kind of disagree there as far as that's concerned. The GPU mining, like we've been talking about this earlier today, and welcome to the channel, Hawk. But we've been talking about the GPU mining earlier today and just mining in general, making it more profitable by, basically risk management on your trading practices and not just market selling. It's a big deal. That's what's going to get you into position to being successful, especially right now when the swings are so impactful to whether or not you're going to be profitable for the day. So there you go. But and AI is not AI, it's just crypto mining in disguise. But at least my experience, I've heard now, obviously, I think in chat, homie said that he had gotten his 3090s are getting rented out for modeling. So I think there is potential for that to be rented out more and more. I think as access is more and more available, right? The only one I wanted to take a look at, especially because we heard about it from Hobbyist Miner, but I wanted to take a look at tactical investing and what his thoughts were on the Helium Network lawsuit. I'm trying to catch up on everything, so there'll probably be a lot of reactions in the crypto mining show for a little while until I get all caught up, and then we'll have them a little bit more spaced out. But let's learn.
His last day in office, Gary Gensler decides to file a lawsuit against Helium Network. Now, mind you, we've talked about Helium quite a lot on the channel.
So last day in office, Gensler files lawsuit against Helium. Is that the deal?
One of the projects that did really, really well back in 2021. This is a project that a lot of people who got in very early made a ton of money from. And when you look at some of the deep end projects, Helium has in many ways been a front runner where they kind of showed the example of what was possible when you bring power to the people and you can build out a network where the people are the ones essentially building the network out instead of a big conglomerate doing it on their own dime. Now, mind you, controversial, yes. People had different opinions, yes. The tokenomics, obviously, those who got in later made a lot less than those who got in early. That's typically how it goes. But either way, Helium's been through it.
Well, and that just goes back to, the problem with all the depend devices in general is that really once it's done and it's over, it's over. There's no recurring revenue that happens from that point on, right? Or very little, like very non-impactful revenue. Once you're in early and you make the money, then it's out, and not, it's like a meme coin. It's like a meme token, effectively.
It's series of controversies in its past, and a lot of these are what culminated to this SEC lawsuit. We're going to break that down in today's video. Mind you, I am not an expert in law. I'm just going to give my personal opinion on what this looks like, why they're bringing this specifically, and how it ties into Helium's past more specifically. So that said, if you're new here, my name is Alex, talk about crypto, crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. You enjoyed this video, smash up the like. Without further
I don't want any commie Canadian GPUs tactics.
ado, let's jump into the video.
That's a cool intro. I've seen this one before, though.
We're talk about really the history of Helium and how everything's progressed since 2020 to where it is now 5 years later. It's kind of crazy to think about that 4 years ago in 2021 was when we covered Helium on the channel. Helium had an explosive year. It was the top performing DePIN in the last bull market, going from about 25 cents all the way up to $50.
Well, and it wasn't even called DePIN at that point, right? Like, that's a pretty new term that came out in 22.
It was just absolutely insane. And those who mined Helium very early on were making hundreds of dollars a day. I knew people that had gotten into mining Helium after watching my videos that were making $60,000 a month with Helium devices. It was just a crazy, crazy time in 2021. Now, for those maybe not familiar with Helium's network, how it worked is...
I would recommend if you want your GPUs to get rented out for actual AI projects, it's more likely that they will on Vast. I don't know about Salad though.
Helium was on their own layer 1 blockchain. They were not on Solana at that point. They were still on their own layer 1 Helium network. Now, in the process of selling the devices, what Helium had is different manufacturers. So essentially, they had the technology, and without certain specific manufacturers having the access to that technology, I believe as some kind of chip within the device, well, you simply couldn't just sell and build a device on your own. Now, very, very early on, you could do DIY Helium devices. They got away with that. And then you had to be an approved manufacturer, Minted being one of them. You had to be an approved manufacturer to be able to sell Helium devices. And that was back in the day when you had your Nebras, your Syncrobit. And the problem is a lot of these, and we talked about this very early on, a lot of these companies were pretty much no major manufacturing experience. A lot of these, like Syncrobit, complete scam to a certain degree. Nebra, very poorly manufactured devices, breaking down all the time. I consider Nebra a scam at that point as well. But that was a problem. You didn't have a lot of opportunities. Helium at that point was no longer selling.
I mean, does DePIN sound exactly like Solana meme tokens to anybody else? Like that's what I get out of all this.
Their Genesis miner, their very
just with hardware.
Original miner. So you had to purchase through one of these distributors. And then as time went on, more and more distributors were accepted, more manufacturers were accepted. And Helium really did not manufacture their own devices anymore at that point. But they earned because the device manufacturer...
I've had the Hive Mapper for a while now. It was just like every other DePIN. It was doing really well for a little while, and now it's kind of meh.
Manufacturers had to pay Helium a fee for devices being onboarded and devices coming on the network. So Helium still made money, except they didn't have to go through the distribution or manufacturing process. Now, obviously, the devices had the whole idea was that you had proof of coverage, which was called POC, and you had data transfer, and you would get paid for both. There was a few other ways to earn in studies very, very early on. They went away from that, and eventually it became truly just data transfer and proof of coverage. And so amongst all of this, a lot of people got into Helium very early on because of a couple of things. One, you had the idea of passive income. Like, why not? These devices used like 5-10 watts of energy, so almost no electricity being used. And very early on, it was extremely lucrative. I myself, with about 10, 11 Helium devices, was making about almost $100 and $120 a day in profit because, well, my electrical cost was pretty much non-existent. So a lot of people wanted to get in.
I like how the kiddos are playing around back there.
to this project. You saw the devices going crazy.
I'll
Then
put this on two.
you had the network happening, and the profitability really dropped
Speed
out.
'em up, boys.
A ton of devices got onboarded. Over 1 million devices around the world were onboarded through Helium Network. Now, the problem
I can't even
was
find it.
very early on. The reason a lot of people believed in the possibility of Helium and the real world use case aspect was because of the partnerships that Helium boasted on their main page. They had Line, which is a scooter.
No, too fast.
They had a few others that we're going to cover in today's video. But essentially, later down the road, I don't know, maybe about a year, 2 years down the road, all of a sudden, there was kind of some research, some investigation work that was done. And in the end, none of these companies actually had any partnership with Helium. They had tested Helium's product and to see whether or not it was good for their use. They'd never been officially partners, but because they had been in a test trial or something to that degree, Helium used their branding and logo and made it look like the network could be trusted and buying a product could be trusted because it's been tested and is being used currently by major companies. So there was that kind of, because everyone looks at Deepin and they say Deepin is valuable because there's a real world use case. And it's even more valuable when major companies are actually kind of contributing to that real world use case aspect because they're actually utilizing the network. The problem was none of those companies were utilizing it, and none of those companies approved of Helium, and many of them did not even know Helium was using their branding and image and likeness to promote that they were partners. So a lot of that came out. This, I believe, was back in 2022, and Helium got a lot of heat for it. They had to remove all of those logos of the companies that requested to be removed. And it came under a lot of pressure. Now,
we were talking about this yesterday. This is just a common thing that every cryptocurrency tries to do. We were talking about this yesterday just with new token and coin launches when we were, or I mean on Monday, when we were going over the kind of reaction to the light chain or whatever it was. And the fact that when you looked at light chain, you know, you scroll down and you see, you know, CoinDesk listed or whatever, crypto.com. But then when you click it in CoinMarketCap, when you click it, you realize it's just an API pull that they're submitting. And since it's a token on, you know, ERC20, the websites are automatically pulling those up, making it appear as though they have legitimacy through a partnership with a cryptocurrency that they list under there that they don't, or with a company that they list under there that they don't actually have a partnership with. And like, that's just, you know, something that a lot of projects do, not even just in cryptocurrency, but everywhere, right?
Now, since then, Helium has developed very strongly, specifically focusing on their mobile phone plan, additionally on Helium 5G. Their mobile phone plan is exceptional. Tons of people use it, and it's growing by the daily. The 5G network continues to grow. So Helium in many ways pivoted from the IoT side to focus on 5G and Helium Mobile, which is in partnership with T-Mobile. They have partnerships with Dish, and this all came out down the road. So Helium's kind of had its ups and downs through its history, and you know, from when I got in it back in 2021, maybe it was 2020, but I think it's 2021, till where we are today. And where we are today is this lawsuit by Gary Gensler, as he's walking out the door, files this lawsuit against Helium Network creator Nova Labs. Nova Labs is kind of like the parent company over Helium Network. So I want to break this down because it's very interesting as we look at the history of Helium, how all of this plays a role, because it's not just one thing specifically that the SEC is going after. It's multiple different things that some of these, in my opinion, have a bit of water to them, even though Amir, in his opinion, says there's no water, there's nothing to this. We're going to talk about, you know, none of these claims hold any water at all. SEC's wasted 2 years of their time and millions of dollars pursuing any claim. So this may have been going on for over 2 years, and at this point, it was just filed. So it's kind of interesting to know that. But this is what's coming out. As far as in the complaint filed Friday in the U.S. District Court for Southern District of New York, lawyers allege that Nova Labs, previously Helium Incorporated, has sold millions of dollars in unregistered securities since April 2019 via the sale of electric devices called hotspots. Now, like I said, Helium originally sold a lot of them on their own. In the end, they had a lot of different distributors selling the devices. So it would be interesting to see if any of those distributors come under fire, like Bobcat, Nebra, Syncobit, Minted, because Rack, there's a ton of those companies that actually did the manufacturing. Helium simply provided a portion of the technology that goes into this. So it's a small part, obviously an important part, but that is going to be something interesting. And will this go further to the companies that distributed this, right? So the SEC said that further pointed out the feature called discovery mapping, which allowed users to swap their private data for crypto tokens. Nova Labs also made false and misleading claims to potential investors that companies such as Lime, Nestle, and Salesforce were allegedly using its decentralized network. So this is a lot of things, right?
Like I said, almost every cryptocurrency project does this weird thing where it claims that there's these partnerships that aren't actually there. And there's different clever ways to do
You
it.
have the sale of the devices. You have the discovery mapping, which is the other aspect. And then you have the false and
J Rose, GDDR7 is massively better than GDDR6X.
misleading claims, right? So
You're looking at 30% boost in overall performance based off, cores and all that. That's not what we're looking at when we're looking at how much better it's going to be.
the biggest
We're seeing a monumental shift like we saw from GDDR5 to GDDR6. Within like half a year, all the GDDR5 X cards except for the 1080 Ti's with ETH enlargement pill basically went away.
biggest thing, obviously, the selling of hotspots. In many ways, I don't think that really holds a lot of water, right? You have Bitcoin and companies that build Bitcoin miners selling those miners. I don't think there's really anything different that Helium Network did than Bitmain manufacturing Bitcoin devices. I don't think there's really that much of a difference. Obviously, the only difference in this aspect is Bitmain isn't the owner of Bitcoin, right? They don't control Bitcoin, right? So I think that might be the slight difference. But in the end, I don't see there being that much of a difference. Now, obviously, the feature called discovery mapping allowed users to swap their private data for crypto tokens. That's kind of like, these are all going from small scale to medium scale to large scale. And I think that could possibly be one of the things that stands out compared to, the devices themselves. And then obviously, the false and misleading claims to potential investors is probably the one, in my opinion.
I'm sorry, I should have said 90 series. Or
just because of the simple fact
well, I have to look
this
again.
was a situation Helium dealt with very publicly back in, I guess, 2022. And there was a lot of things that came out at that point when it comes to the Helium networks, alongside of other people talking about Helium networks wasn't actually being utilized, that the money they were generating was really from device sales and not actually from the use case of the network. There's just a lot of really things that happened back.
Just reacted to your 2025 plans. We'll have it clipped up later for you to watch. But was just talking about you, bro. I guess your ears were burning.
Then, and I think this is probably the one that's gotten the most attention.
Trying to catch up on all the things.
And most people are probably familiar with. Now, this is in 2022 that Nova Labs told Decrypt that they would adopt a much more rigorous process for marketing brand partnerships following the disputes from Salesforce Lime, which Nova said had tested Helium products. So that was the purpose when they posted Lime and Netzel, when they posted Salesforce. Many people, including myself, had the perception that these companies were actually using Helium products on a daily basis. Not that they had done a test and did not move forward with the company at all, right? So that is completely different. It's kind of saying, you are a eater of ribs. If you tasted ribs one time, you never ate ribs again, and say, hey, I eat ribs all the time because you tested it once. It just doesn't make sense. And that was the whole debacle that happened back in 2022. So Nova Labs knew or recklessly disregarded that Nestle, Salesforce, and Lime were neither Nova Labs customers nor users of Nova Labs network. Lawyer said in the lawsuit, adding that the companies sent cease and desist letters to Nova Labs over the matter. Nova Labs' false and misleading statements to potential investors touting business relationships that did not exist violated the anti-fraud provisions of the federal securities laws. That, in my opinion, is the thing that holds the most water, because this is actually something that a lot of things happen over, right? Maybe it's not the discovery aspect, maybe it's not the devices themselves, but that portion, in my opinion, and not a lawyer expert, but I know the type of frustration and annoyance. In my opinion, I thought there was going to be some kind of class action because of this happening, because a lot of people bought devices because they thought Salesforce and Lime were users of the network, right? It was a whole perception thing. Now, obviously, I don't think
I ever thought that. I'm trying to think back to when all that was going down.
Website that they said Nestle and Salesforce and Lime use Helium's network. They just simply had them listed as partners. So you kind of have that gray area as like, could you technically say that they're a partner? Yet they use our product, but yeah, that was kind of why they pivoted and say, hey, we're going to be a little more rigorous into how we frame things and how we say things.
No, I don't have any commercials, so you got to watch everybody else's commercials. What can I say?
So in the end, I think the biggest thing right now for Helium, when you look at it, is the positive aspect of all this is you have a time in the United States where you have a president, you have a legislature that is very pro-crypto. So at a time for something like this to come out, it probably couldn't have been at a more opportune time to have a lot more law.
Yeah, I think just based off of the Trump administration coming in and the friendly crypto basically all of the friendly crypto regulation that's going into place surrounding the current kind of administration, I think this just gets shut down, especially with Gary Gensler getting fired. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if like somebody from the administration steps in and says no.
In your favor from a lot of the individuals in leadership positions. So I don't know where this is going to go. Is it going to go anywhere? Maybe. Is it not? I'm not sure. I know Helium has a ton of money, or Nova Labs has a ton of money. They're more than capable to fight this. I don't know if this is going to be something that they're going to pay a fine and then move forward. I don't suspect this is going to be a shutdown Helium, and as a whole, I don't think that was even a part of what this was intended to do. I think the biggest thing was to pay a civil penalty. The amount has not been determined, and to be barred from dealing in unregistered security offerings. So I don't know what that means as far as dealing in unregistered security offerings. Can they keep the current network? Can they expand the network? That's the kind of unknown as to what this is going to look like. Obviously, having this at a time where there's going to be a new SEC commissioner, new overall leaders in this type of portion of crypto, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. But in my opinion, I don't really think this changes a whole lot. I think this only makes it a legal aspect because there was a lawsuit. Everyone really knew all of these things previously existed. In this aspect, Gary Gensler, as his kind of, last act, wanted to, smear this in the face of Helium. I've had my personal tiffs with Helium in the past as far as some of the things that have happened on the network. But in the end, I think there's still a lot of positive things. I think there's a huge opportunity with what they're doing with their partnership with T-Mobile. Obviously, they have the partnership with Dish. I think there's a ton of potential in the 5G aspect. There is, and as you can look at the numbers, they're continuously growing. So I have nothing but positive things to say about Helium. I also think that if Helium loses in something like this is going to look really, really bad on the deep end sector as a whole, and it's really going to put it under a lot more scrutiny. I hope that's not going to happen. I hope that's not going to be the case. I really do hope that Helium has everything that they need to fight this. And I'm more than happy to even though Amir and I have had our differences in the past, I'm more than happy to have him on the channel and talk about, what does this look like for Helium? Whatever he is able to share, what he may not be able to share. I'm sure there's some that he's not able to share. But obviously he's pretty upset about this whole situation. He's talked about it.
Gotta ask Hobbyist what he thinks about
Twitter.
it.
So I'd be interested to see what he has. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this whole situation? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like.
Make sure you guys go like the video. And that was pretty good. He caught me all up. So thanks, Tactical, for catching me all up on the deep end, or not the deep end. That's a different subject. But on Helium specifically with the lawsuit here. I knew about 2 of the 3 things. Like I said, I don't think any of it's big enough of a deal, in my humble opinion. I think he'll get all thrown out. At the same time, I don't think like it really went in the direction that or Helium, I don't think is headed in the direction where you're going to be able to, I guess, scale any meaningful revenue off of them, but I could be wrong. That's a whole other subject though. But yeah, I don't think the lawsuit's going to mean anything. So everybody, welcome Hobbyist Miner in. Thanks for stopping by, dude. Let's go ahead and do the rig wars submission for today. And it is from Scott. And we are going to go ahead and get that running for you guys right now. So we got the video ready. And boom. All right, so you guys can see it here. It should be up on the screen for you guys. Scott Air has submitted this build, and the rig name is the original 5700 5600 XT build. He submitted this back in April, obviously peak of the bear market there. So it's kind of showing something a little old off. As you guys know, I have like over 200 5700s and 5700 XTs. In this particular rig, he has 2 5700s and 4 5600 XTs. So a total of 6 GPUs on this rig. And it is a homemade case that he made himself, so got to give him props there. And an MSI B450 Gaming Max motherboard. So in reality, let me think. So that would be a Ryzen CPU. It's going to be the 2700X. So definitely old school as far as that's concerned. And I don't know about y'all, but I had for the longest time on any AM4 motherboard, I had a lot of trouble getting like more than 4 GPUs up and running. That's been by and large fixed now with a lot of BIOS updates, etc. But for a long time there, I had a lot of trouble with it. He's running 16 gigabytes of Crucial Ballistics, 3200 megahertz. So he can, like, obviously for the sweet spot of Ryzen, 3200 megahertz was right there where you get the best CPU performance out of it. So I'm assuming he's going to be mining some CPU coin, but we'll find out here in a second. He's running a 500 gigabyte Samsung SSD and an EVGA 850 watt gold rated power supply. I guess because you got enough of those low end cards, you know, what are we talking about? You need 4, I guess, depending on what you're mining, 4, 8, and take 8 PCIe Express. I feel like you should bump up the power on that, unless he didn't list another power supply, but I don't see any in the pictures. I think 850 might be pushing it just based off of the amount of power through a single rail in the power supply itself, right? So not based off of total capacity, but the rails for the PCIe power specifically. I'd have to look into it on the EVGA model specifically, though. He's running the FebSmart 006C risers. I have been testing a lot of risers lately, and I am by and large moving over to, of course, the Oculinks, and that is because the Oculinks will give you 4 lanes per card, and with the new AMD motherboards on AM5 platform, you can feed a lot of those cards over, and if you need even more over PCI, I think the best is like Oculinks in a Threadripper form factor, or you could even go back to all the way back to like what is the X59, but then you're going pretty far back on the CPU as far as that's concerned. And then he is mining Chlor on the GPUs and Zephyr on the CPU. And that was as of last week. So thanks to Scott for this submission. Hopefully he'll get to see this in the future. We have 2 submissions so far, one from Scott and one from Corey. You can watch the episode from Monday, and it should be timestamped there to see that submission. And we will do a runoff between the 2, or we'll be doing 2 more, and then we'll do a runoff between the 4 of them to see who wins that segment. So there you go. We'll do one every 2 weeks and then try to do a competition at the end. If you want to submit your rig, go down into the description and click the submit your rig button. I do require that you send at least 5 photos. I make a little montage for you so you can show that off to your family and say, look, I'm famous, I'm on YouTube. So there you go. Thanks. Oh, Scott is in Raven and Raptorium now, Scott says. So that's what he's mining. And I'm glad you're here, Scott. That's cool. Heck yeah. That's the way it's supposed to go. Nice, clean rig. I will say, we started things off with a bang with Corey's fully liquid cooled monstrosity. So there you go. So would the Oculinks be like having 2 PCI 16 on an AM5 motherboard? So an Oculink can go up to 8 lanes per cable. And so you can do basically, like you said, well, you would have 8 lanes per cable, a GPU per cable. You can do 2 cables per by 16 slot, right? And then you can take up your M.2 slots on the Oculink and run 4x, right? So you would limit your lanes on an M.2 NVMe, right, to 4 lanes, but you will get those 4 lanes, which is a lot more performance when you're talking about AI and all that sort of stuff onto those GPUs. In some cases, it's absolutely necessary with the newer GPUs, obviously. Intel being one of those where you have to have really more lanes to get everything out of them. But now Intel's completely borked everything with their with their driver package on the A750s now are also only getting 40 mega hash a second on Ergo. So it's been a pretty big disappointment on that front. Maybe we'll figure something out in the future, but as of right now, it's not looking too good. That is going to wrap up today's episode of the Crypto Mining Show. I want to thank everybody for sticking around and hanging out. I'm happy to be back in the space this weekend. It should be behind me. Let me get it for you guys. This weekend, I will be testing the B570. Intel B570 GPU live on Twitch at twitch.tv/blindrun and live on Kick at kick.com/blindrun. And then we will get all the data for the spreadsheet up and done, and we will post that obviously on locals first with all the data. So if you're a supporter over at sonofatech.locals.com, you'll be able to get the early numbers on the hash rates for this, and of course the 5090 next week. And then we will post the review on YouTube, hopefully by Tuesday, as long as work permits and all of that, work schedule permits and all that sort of stuff. And then I am streaming game streams every Tuesday and Thursday on twitch.tv/blindrun, but I do reactions and cover cryptocurrency topics and news, etc. So if stuff is happening, I will browse real quick and make sure. I did not see any executive orders that were pro crypto regulation as of today, and I didn't see a strategic reserve announcement, but let me make sure that that didn't happen right now by just looking up, I guess, on Twitter. Let's see, Bitcoin strategic, oh, you can just strategic reserve, see if they announced anything. They did announce 20 states have announced starting accumulating Bitcoin, which is bullish as hell. And plus the United States is supposed to actually do that, but that's still rumored. I guess the only thing here is Trump did say something apparently. Let's listen to this and see what he has to say here.
We could have had a better relationship. I wish we could have had a better relationship between Republicans and Democrats. I was with Senator Schumer. I said, Chuck, I think it's time we all start getting along a little bit because it doesn't make sense. I mean, we literally never get a Democrat vote. They never get a Republican vote, almost. And although there is a bill coming up very shortly that we have a lot of Democrat votes, right? It's going to be a very beautiful bill. We're going to have a deciding, I would say, within a week or so, I think. And it's going to be a very good bill. You all know what I'm talking about. So
no, I don't know what he's talking about. It doesn't matter. All he said is we have a bill that's bipartisan and a lot of people are voting on it. Sorry that you couldn't hear it. I'll try to turn the next one up if we do it again. But I just got clickbaited. So screw Abundant Minds. He clickbaited me. And all Trump said was, we have a really good bill. Bipartisan bill. You know what the bill is. And then didn't say what the bill is. And that's one of the most frustrating characteristic traits of Trump for me, is he does that stuff. It's very good. Very good. Doesn't tell you why it's good, but he'll tell you it's good. Anyways, please check out the game streams. And they are at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time over on twitch.tv/blindrun. If you want me to interact with anything like do a reaction, anything like that, let me know. I will be doing them. The testing coming this weekend for the B570, testing next weekend for the 590, and then make sure you've got subscriptions going down below. Hit that subscribe. I thank each and every one of y'all for hanging out. And then it's not time for altcoins yet. I think Bitcoin has to hit, let me think. I think Bitcoin has to go over 120,000 before we rotate back into altcoins significantly. Other than these outliers, right? Like the random Trump stuff and whatnot. But that's my thought. I could be wrong. But we have to have enough of a buffer for Bitcoin miners to play outside of Bitcoin, and we don't have that yet. Once we do, we start seeing some more stuff move around. This is also the first time we haven't had miners on any of the large DeFi cryptos. So a big driver of altcoin transitions, you know, altcoin Bitcoin transitions of the market was, I will be honest, I think due to Ethereum miners moving their mined liquidity back and forth and into the altcoin market and playing around. We don't have that influence as much anymore. So I don't know how that's going to look. And we haven't seen a real big winner in the GPU mining space yet. So there you go. Alberta is tariff exempt. What do we buy from Alberta? Tactics. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Make sure you go throw a like on tactical investing and hobbyist miner videos. Tell them Soat sent you. Love you all. If you want, I may be gaming over on Twitch in a little bit. You can come hang out at twitch.tv/blindrod. I'll get that for you guys real quick. I'll see it soon. All right. I'll see you guys soon. Adios.